ていきましょう。
観光旅行？まるで遊びだよ。ディメンションワープスタンバイ。
セットオン。
10、9、8、7、6、5、4、3、2、1。ディメンションワープゴー。あー、
ここがレム王国？
んなバカな。
Tony Iommi, I'm Lincoln Top. Thank you very much.
An expert biologist, and when this handsome fellow isn't traveling across the world doing research, he's at home cooking a great meal?
But yeah, that's all true, but Sancho, where did you get that?
An excellent assistant knows how to write an excellent introduction. You got it, boss.
Or taking a long walk on the beach? Who wrote this mess?
Welcome to the stream. Thank you for, or the live stream. Well, thank you for joining us on Plungecast. Today we're going to be looking at some terrible people, and we're going to start off with talking about some terrible people. Sadly, not the gentleman we got on the screen. The clad is awesome. But we just want to, this happened today. So we're going to go dive right into it. Hopefully, it's getting international coverage. Now, as we know that, as you may know, there's supposed to be a ceasefire, right, with Hamas, with the terrorists. Problem is, in war, you can't really have a ceasefire with terrorists because they don't have the same mentality as normal people. Their disregard for human life excludes them from humanity, right? They're just like the animals, and we'll be talking about animals later on. But these people are like animals as well. So I'm going to have the traveling cat, as he's known. I will share his link, and we'll be watching this as it goes, because Hamas just tried a mass-scale attack on Israel. Now, it's just been over a year since they did the last one, and now they're supposed to return all the hostages. Sadly, I've come to a point where, and I didn't come to the realization myself. I actually listened to somebody, and I was like, in war, you just can't negotiate with terrorists, right? That's been the thing. You have to basically go scorched earth on them, because they'll just get ready and come back. And this is what's happened. And I kind of thought this, while the ceasefire was happening, all they were doing is preparing for the new one, right? This is what happened in Ukraine, right? In 2014, when Ukraine was like, they're going to have the Donbass thing. It was like, okay, let's just not do this. And then they waited like a decade. And then they got all prepared for war with Russia. And then they took billions from the world to carry on the war. And now Britain wants to continue with that war, right? We'll talk about that in some other, another stream, but let's get on with this one. This is Traveling Clat.
Ladies and gentlemen, your favorite boy, Tall the Traveling Clat, coming to you live right now from an undisclosed location. We are reporting on some very disturbing news coming out of Israel right now. As you can see here on my left, a picture of an exploded bus. There was just a thwarted massive attack on Israeli innocent civilians, planned and taken responsibility for by Hamas. We are just reeling off the news today of the Bebas family supposedly being released, but we don't even have 100% confirmation on this, because the bodies have not been identified in the caskets that they were brought back so far. So this could have been part of this wider terrorist attack that was planned by Hamas at the moment. We're not 100% sure. But about 2 hours ago, local time, I might even be less than 2 hours ago, buses started to explode. We'll take a look here at a video. So you can hear that secondary explosion. This is actually in central Israel, where a lot of my family lives, very close to where I live as well, happening between Bat Yam and Hulon, where my grandma, that you guys know and love on the channel, lives. So this is happening very, very close to home, actually, right now. You can see here another news update from the Hamal. This is another picture of an exploded bus, one that detonated. I'm going to read you guys the updates that we have at the moment. Let me pull up another video. So this is what we're dealing with: civilian buses detonating across central Israel. This is a video of a bomb squad. What's it called?
Right. So you're getting ready for work, getting the kids on the bus to go to school. Right. It's Friday here, so it's Friday, Saturday, Thursday there in Israel. So these guys just basically bombed on civilian buses, public buses, transports. Like I keep saying, there's no empathy in terrorists, right? These are mongrels, these are animals. You can't these barbarians, you can't really negotiate with them. And the sad thing is that it's gotten to a point where Israel just can't go out and, you know, do what they got to do to the terrorists who keep every couple of months, every couple of years, keep coming at them because, well, you got to do what America says, especially under Democrats of this shit, right? And then also you got to do what, you know, your hands are tied behind your back with the UN. Imagine being at war, not of your own making, but of someone else attacking you continuously forever for 70 or fucking years, and your hands are tied back because you're the white people, but the brown people aren't allowed to, right? The brown people are going to take you over and over again, right? Shoot your children, murder your babies, right? Murder your elders, right? Like dogs in the street, then take them hostage, and then use them to get, what, 30 people out for each Israeli? See, they don't value humanity. Like, as you can, and then here's the problem with Israel, right? And of all the shit that everybody does on Israel, Israel has to swap one Israeli for 30 terrorists. How the fuck is that common sense? I'm at a point where I'm like, does this really actually matter? Why don't I just go scorched earth on them? At this point, it's just go scorched earth. As much as I am for life, and you guys have, two things can be right at the same time. The fact is, terrorists are terrorists, humans are humans, and terrorists are monsters. So you put monsters down. This is the whole stream today. Like, we're looking at two gays who basically did terrible things to their children, that they got adopted. Two males who adopted children that weren't even their own, were given children, and they did terrible things to them. And also two lesbians who did terrible things, right? But monsters are monsters. You can't let monsters exist in this world, right? You got to go scorched earth, eye for an eye. Because if your value is that 30 of yours is equal to one of mine, then I'm going to kill 30 of yours. At the end of the day, that's how it's going to be, because it just gets to a point where, like, what the fuck is going on? These people have been, like, murdering children all around the world, right? Basically, there was knife attacks just the other week, right? Over in Austria. There was knife attacks. We talked about this was like 5 days ago or something. In England, or was it Scotland? I think it was Ireland or somewhere. Anyway, people got knifed, right? Just randomly. The dude walks from house to house, knocks on the door, boof, 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 carries on to the next one. Can you fucking imagine that in your home right now, in your town, in your fucking street right now? Can you imagine that in your street right now, that happening to you? You're happening to your neighbors, and you're going, I can't go, you're not allowed to do anything about it. Your hands are tied, they're cuffed to the back, chains around your body so you can't move. I was just fucking watching something just before where, like, this guy, I'm not sure if it was a movie or if it was Reacher or something. The guy's all tied up, he can't do anything, the chick's just going off at him, he's just stuck there. And this is what it feels like with Israel. It's like, and anybody that's wherever Muslims are attacking people, that's where those, wherever you are in Europe, in England, in Australia, that's what you're like. You're basically holding your hands are behind the, tied up behind the fucking seat and chained, right? And handcuffed. And you're basically, what was it, like hibachi? The Japanese have this hibachi torture thing, rope tie thing they do, where everything, you just can't move. And that's Israel. Any given day, when it comes to terrorism, when it comes to attacks on Israel, that's Israel, right? And that's what they want in Europe right now, right? It's just crazy. It's like these people are not about life. They want to die. Their whole thing is about, I want to go to be with Allah, right? This lady was on this fucking stream this morning. I was watching, and she was like, she's all there, I want to go be with Allah. I'm like, well, go take your own life and be with Allah. Why you got to believe in a religion that talks about taking other people's life with you? Just go do it yourself. It's the same thing I think about people who speed. Just go on a random road when nobody's there and just go speed. All right? You know, if you want to go drunk drive, go on where there's nobody else, just go drunk drive. That way nobody else gets hurt. And that's what terrorism's right. You know, these guys are just fucking morons. I just don't think that they should be allowed to exist in this world. Much like the ones we're going to cover later on.
Called the robot that's going to check the bus to see if it's about to detonate or not. This happens. You'll see this sometimes in the old city of Jerusalem. If there's a chefetz chashud, we call it in Hebrew, like a suspected or a suspicious object that's been laid behind. So you can see it's doing its thorough check right now. And I'll read you guys the update that I have here from one of my sources. So we have security.
I was on the stream this morning. We're just watching the stream, and when I saw it come up, right, I was like, "The fuck?" And I was like, "What Israel needs to go? The security force needs to go door to door. We're going to check you out. We're going to come in here and we're going to search if there's any freaking weapons here, right? Any bombs, any things for bomb making here. And if we find any paraphernalia to do with terrorism or promoting terrorism or hateful towards my country, I'm talking about if I was Israeli, towards Israel, then you are getting deported and you're going to be on the blacklist to never be able to enter the country again. That's how it should be in the times of war. Now, everybody looks back on America and says how terrible it was when during World War II that the Japanese were put in containment camps, right? Internment camps, because nobody was fucking sure if there was anybody amongst the Japanese who was for Japan. At the time, Japan was in a state where you basically obeyed the emperor like a god. He was God. He was Jesus. He was, whatever. He was it. And so the whole voice of Japan was saying that that Americans will eat you. They're cannibals. They're monsters. They'll eat you. Don't get caught. They'll eat you. They'll cook you up and they'll eat you. That's what the propaganda was there. Right? So what was the safest thing to do? Okay, let's get all the people together. Let's put them there together. Now, 80 years later, we can look back and go, oh, that was so terrible. But at that time, that was the safest thing to do. And I think a lot of people, when they look back on history, they don't think about what they were dealing with at that time. We can always look back with history with rose-tinted glasses, right? We can, oh, we are so wise now. A lot of times, I think we're not that wise at all, right? We may have all the technologies and stuff, but we don't use common sense. See, if we use common sense, we'd be like, listen, they're terrorists. They don't matter anymore. Their lives, they have given up their life, their right to live. They have given it up by attacking busloads of elderly and children. These are not army officers. Right? These are innocent civilians who are just going to work or going to whatever they got to do, right?
Assessment, the explosives were intended to detonate at 9 a.m. local time, not 9 p.m. So tomorrow, Friday morning, 9 a.m., during the rush before Shabbat, a bunch of buses and public transportation were supposed to explode. And this was, not thwarted, actually. We'll get into that in a second. Suspected additional explosive device on Highway 1.
So think about that. It went off at night. If it went off in the daytime, think of all the people that would be on that bus right there. Right? Just think about that. It went off at the wrong time because they got the AM PM mixed up. This is a mass attack on your country. I think we've gotten to a point where we think that Israel should always be stopped from doing anything, any retaliation, because, well, they're white people, right? Even though they live in the fucking Middle East, they're seen as white people, so they deserve this. And a lot of people keep saying, well, Israel, they don't belong there. They've been there for 3,000 years. Their whole line goes back 3,000 fucking years. And these people have been there for what, 70 years on that land, right? They were pushed out of Jordan into Palestine, right? It wasn't even called Palestine until recently, right? And so they'll push there. And now that everybody that's on the left who basically thinks it's okay to kill white people, really think about that, right? Because they hate white people. The left really hates white people because they love black people like me, or brown people like me, I should say. I'm not black, right? I'm not African. So because they do that, they think that we're some sort of miracle, God's gift to the fucking world. We're not. We're just as moronic as anybody else. And the idea is that the left in their brains, of their hippie, whatever, drug-addled brain, have always thought of like the brown people or the other or the ethnics as some sort of miracle things, that they have all the answers. We don't. You can see it when when these people kill people like this, right? We're just as much monsters as anybody else. But I hate the fact that like the whole idea of like, the Beatles going to India to find God, to enlightenment, to find that there's some shitty person there in a shitty dredge with cow shit all over wrapped around it, sitting there in a cloth. It grosses the crap out of me. Some of the things that happens in my culture in India, right? Because I'm not from India, but I am an Indian, right? It just grosses shit out of me, right? Just a caste system. I think it's the most evil thing that's ever existed. Whether like if you're born as a poor person, that is your entire race, like entire line forever. You will never get out of that. The only way you can get out is to just get the hell out of India and go live in the West somewhere, where nobody asks you, well, so what caste are you from? Unless they're Indian, because they like to do that, right? They like to look down on you because, the upper class like to look down on the lower class. It's always been the way. But Indians are, and Middle Easterns are nothing special. We're just human beings. Like one of my mentors used to say, we all put on our pants the same way, one leg at a time. We breathe the same air, right? Every 3 seconds we got to breathe, or we got to eat, or we die. And I think it's just stupid that we look at Israel and say, well, yeah, they're Israel, so they shouldn't be allowed to fight back because those brown people, they've been there forever. Well, so is Israel, right? I think it was was it Titus, Emperor Titus, who basically removed them from their land and salted the earth, if my memory serves. I think it was Emperor Titus of Rome, right? And so the land, for I don't know, hundreds of years couldn't have anything grow on it because it was all salted. Right? You try chucking a whole lot of salt on your garden and then try to grow something. But I'm just so glad that it wasn't it wasn't 9 a.m. Just imagine all these buses going off. It's a miracle it didn't.
One, police have raised the alert level to the highest in the area. Residents of Gush Dan are urged to remain vigilant. Gush Dan is basically the central region of Israel. Defense Minister Israel Katz has ordered the IDF to escalate operations against terrorist infrastructure and refugee camps across Judea and Samaria in response to today's attempted attacks in the Dan region. He stated, we will hunt down those.
I would basically go scorched earth. Camp to camp to camp to camp, every single one. Wouldn't give shit. I wouldn't, honestly. Like I said, two things can be right at the same time, right? Yeah, we care for you, but also we don't trust you. Also, now we're going to stop giving you food and aid. You're on your own now. You're on your own now. The refugee camps and all that, we've been supplying tons and tons of food that you guys have been stealing, which your militia's been coming up and, selling back to you, that we've provided for free. Oh, that your Hamas militia has been stealing at gunpoint and then selling it to you marked up. Free shit. Yeah, well, you know what? We're not going to pass any trucks back over to your side anymore. We're going to cut it off. No more nice guy. No more Mr. Nice Guy. No more Israel Jew nice guy anymore. That's what I'd be doing. I'd be like, yeah, no, get it. Go. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Yeah, we're not going to pay you. We're not going to supply you any food. We are just not going to do it anymore.
I pull my punches. I intend to eat their lunches. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Not for me.
Because the more you give them what they want, the more they will take and they'll hate you for it. Because the thing about that is, like, I've noticed this amongst people who get free shit. They hate themselves for not being able to get, provide for themselves, but also hate you for having to take things from you, right? It's weird mental gymnastics that people who get things for free that don't work for feel, right? I've been in the situation where I'm like, why can't, I need to work harder to provide for myself, but I can't. So I despise myself for not being able to provide for myself, but I need to rely on somebody else, and I despise having to rely on somebody else. It's weird, right? And this is why I think Palestinians hate themselves so much. They hate life so much because they have to rely on the freaking people that they hate, Israel, but they can't live without Israel. Right? On the one hand, okay, we're going to take your food, but on the other hand, we hate you for taking your food. Because without Israel, Palestinians have nobody. Honestly, they have nobody. Because Jordan doesn't want them because they are Jordanian. Because Jordan and Egypt try to take them, and they try to friggin' overthrow the government. There was like this whole militia thing happening there. It's crazy as. It's like, nobody fucking wants Palestinians. Those Gazans, nobody wants them because they've been raised from birth since they've been able to speak, to learn to hate. Like, they've been learning to hate and been taught to hate in United Nations fucking refugee freaking schools, right? UNRWA schools. I've got a whole thing I'm going to be doing about that later. It's one of those things I got to always say, well, later on we got something else coming up, but I do. I've got new all these things I've got planned up because I just don't want to go, well, I'll do it, because I'll be doing this like 24/7 year long if I didn't take a break. Because at the end of the day, there's so much. I mean, 2023 October 7th, right? Peace. It was supposed to, like, just before it happened, everybody was at peace. There was nothing happening. But guess what? They decided to go to war with Israel. And then Israel wasn't allowed to go to war back. And I think, and so when you get your legs and arms tied up like that, because, well, the West wants you to, what is it called? Like, there's some military term, like you got to, like, respond in kind, but with, eye for an eye kind of thing. But the terminology is different. But, like, with Israel, you can't. No, you got to, like, you just got to bruise them. You can't pull the friggin' eye out. You just got to give them a knock. And that sucks. And that's why these guys keep getting bold about it. And it sucks that, they let these guys come back. They should have just fucking wiped them out, to be honest. Scorched earth every single Hamas person. When they were handing over friggin', when they were coming across and handing over, what is it called? The hostages, should have, like, had, like, friggin', what do you call it, like, motion capture, friggin' AI friggin' thing, watching every step from the sky, watching who was going where were they returning to, and logging it, like they do with the with the military, right? With the US, where they can watch where everybody's walking, infrared, the whole works, right? And then later go and grab them. Because they were the ones who took your people. But no, these guys went out and put friggin' bombs at night, which was supposed to go off at 9 a.m. today, right? Went off at 9 p.m. last night. It's kind of weird because, like, I live in the future, right? So it's like a day, out down here in the southern hemisphere, we're in the future.
Responsible and dismantle terror attacks. Anyone who harbors terrorists will pay a heavy price. And then lastly, the attack was not prevented or thwarted. It simply failed. Most of the explosives detonated without interference.
That's a blessing. The fact it failed, right? The fact it went off at the wrong time. Like 12 hours difference. Instead of 9 a.m., it went off at 9 p.m. the night before.
And there had been passengers on the buses. We would have been loading body bags onto milk trucks.
Children, elderly.
I think this is probably the most important portion of this video to hark on, is the fact that this was not thwarted this was simply a failed attack. You could see here's the improvised explosive device, or at least pieces of it, from the Palestinian terrorists. You can see a bottle that has Arabic written on it right there. It looks like a clock connected to a cable, connected to another gear or something. So this is what the improvised device looks like. This is what we're dealing with when it comes to these terrorists from the West Bank. And I'm going to get into a little bit of speculation here on what exactly might be going on. Once again, I want you guys to just hear that.
Just think about this, like, you know, if this happened in your country where you're living, what the fuck would your country, what would your government do right now? Just think about that. This is why I think this is bullshit, what's happening with Israel and how Israel's being treated, right? And the Jews are being treated. And not only just Jews, there are other people living in Israel from all over the world, right? There are tourists there. People are working there.
Secondary explosion. You
Migrant
can see a
workers.
bus is already on fire here. Pay attention. So you can hear that's another explosive device going off. Somebody filming from their balcony. So let's talk for a second. You know, I don't have a lot of patience to sit here and analyze this whole thing. It's already been a rough day. And personally, I've been traveling around the world on flights for the last like 4 or 5 days. So I'm exhausted. But I want to analyze with this with you guys really quickly. Something you guys have to know about this, okay? Hamas today released Kfir, Ariel, and Shiri Bebas. 3/4 of the Bebas family. Yarden Bebas, the husband, was released. The father was released about a week ago, starving, without his family. Now they released supposedly the rest of the family in body bags, in coffins today. The situation.
Did you hear that? The mother, the baby, and the young child in body bags. When I heard about how like they had a baby, I was like, how are they going to take care of the baby? Is the mother with the baby? Where's the food? Who's going to provide the food? And the little child? So let me bring up this. Where is it? I had it. I think I had it under another one we're going to do later this week. Give me one. So that one, that one, that one. Here we go. So this is them. Right? This is them being taken hostage. Little baby, little 3-year-old. I say he's about maybe not even 3. He looks pretty young. Maybe 2.5, 2. Right? Redhead. So I reckon he's got Irish or Scottish blood. I think he's probably more Irish. Redhead. Ginger. Okay. So Shiri Bebas, that's the mother. Shiri. And her kids were taken hostage by Palestinians, civilians, not Hamas. The civilians. On October 7th, not by Hamas members. These were regular people who went on to kill Shiri's parents. Her mother and father, elderly, right? And even their dog. We know Muslims hate dogs. They don't like them barking. Especially if they're black, because they think black is evil. But it's weird how like all of them get dressed up in their Sharia black cloth things that we looked at a couple of weeks back. And that whole, how they hate women. That's part 1. You can find it. It's like Islam Hates Women, part 1. Part 2 is coming up soon. I like to mix it up, right? Now, there are regular people who went on to kill Shiri's parents and even the dogs, right? So these are civilians, Palestinian civilians, right? They weren't the terrorists. This is what I mean. That they need to go into every one of the refugee camps and find out who's got weapons, who's got freaking bomb making things in there, and then go, all right, now, from now on, we're not going to provide you with any food or water. You're on your own. Now, there is Egypt, there is Jordan, and there is the road. Walk. If you need aid, go to your Muslim brotherhoods. Right? Go to your Allah loving people. That's what I'll be like. I'll be like, yo, you hungry? Not from us. You're not going to get from us Jews. You're not going to get from Israel. Go get your Muslims and to give you food. And the weird thing is, Egypt don't want them. Did you see when Trump said, hey, you guys go off over to, Egypt can take them since they love them so much. And Egypt's like, no. We're not even going to take these people. Because Egypt already knows that these people are mongrels. They're animals. That they would kill a dog. That they'll kill elderly people. And now they'll kill babies. And here's the thing, right? This is when my brain switched over about Palestine, was that when they would dress up their children, right, in suicide bombs and put their children in the front. Right? No other culture would do that, because the children are the future. They are the legacy, right? Every father looks at their child, especially their sons, and mothers look at their daughters, right? It's sons. Well, the reason parents look at their sons, because they'll carry on the name. The daughter has a name changed to somebody else, and the legacy ends that way. But if you're a son, then the name goes on, like your surname goes on, right? I've actually thought, back in the 90s, I actually thought about changing my name to my stepfather's name, because I was like, it'll be great to actually carry my dad's name on as a legacy, right? For him, for all he's done for me, because all I've known for the last 40 plus years is him as my father. So why should I not carry his name on? And this is why I talk about on here that children, why you don't mess with children, why you protect children, why children should be kept safe from monsters, right? So the last sighting of her, Shiri, was in Gaza, barefoot and navigating the streets with a 9-month-old baby. Kafir. Oh, right. And I was wrong. Thought it was under 4, right? 4-year-old son, Ariel. Dang. I just realized that one of the characters that I'm writing off in my book at the moment is called Ariel. He's a 10-year-old from Italy. All while, I think it's Italy, maybe France. All while surrounded by Palestinian civilians. On that day, 70% of Palestinians who crossed into Israel were civilians, and they were involved in murder, rape, and looting and destruction. This is why I say scorched earth, right? So they are always complaining like, oh, yeah, Israel's mean to us. And 70% of them went on to rape, murder, loot, right? Steal shit and destroy things. In supposed peace times. Here's the thing. If your neighbor's a terrorist and your 70% of them are doing this, are you at peace? If my neighbor, if I'm like, say like there's about 10 people around me, right? And 7 of those houses hate my guts, do you think I'm going to be staying there? Or am I going to make sure they're gone? Because at the end of the day, they're not really my neighbors, they're just my enemies. 70% of them. That's what I'm thinking. Like at this point, I'm like scorched earth. Right? Go into every single home, find out if there's anything. And the other things I like, as I mentioned last time, I like Trump's idea, right? And I'm not all about the deals and shit like that. I mean, like Egypt, take your people. Jordan, take your people back, because these are not Palestinians, just a name, right? These people are actually Jordanians, Egyptians, and other Arabs, right? That were pushed onto this as a buffer, as cannon fodder, right, against Israel, because Iran hates Israel so much. As I mentioned, my only one interaction I ever had was one 20 plus year old, mid-20s Iranian, right, from the Middle East, who said, my one task in life and one mission in life is make sure that I kill a Israeli, a Jew, before I die. So, and I'm not saying that all Iranians are like that, but the ones that are part of the whole the system, the Islamic state of and IRGC, but people in charge since 70s in Iran, those ones hate even their own people, right? And we've looked at how Iran, there's been a revolt. Slowly, there's been like a revolt against, uprisings against those people, the Shiite, right? Muslims, right? The ones who are the aggressors. Who's the one who wants everybody dressed in black? All their women dressed in black? So the bruises don't show underneath their gowns. We need to stop spreading this false narrative that this was all orchestrated by Hamas. They're just a small part of a much larger issue. The image should stick with everyone forever, right? This is Palestinians putting these three, the mum, Shiri, Ariel, the 4-year-old, and the 2-year-old baby, right? A 9-month-old baby, sorry, Kafir. And they took them hostage. Now they're dead. The Palestinians did this. Dad was returned because he was taken by Hamas, right? It's like you got to call evil evil. If you don't, and this is what the left does. The left doesn't want to call evil evil because they like to change the meaning of words, right? Oh, it's a fascist. Yet it's just because you say something that they disagree with. Oh, you're a fascist, or you're a racist. If you don't like your comic book character who was white changed into Asian, which I don't fucking like either, right? Or change into a black person. Create a fucking new character, right? Or change the gender. It's like, what? Why? Create a new character with a new gender, whatever you want to do. Well, no, but you're racist if you say that. Well, then maybe I am a racist then, because that's what happens when people try to change words. So like, that's why with the left, they love to change the meaning of words. Like, hey, we know what biology is, right? 2 genders, male and female, in entire human history. But for the last few years, we got to accept this and that, right? Because that's 100 freaking different genders. I'm a cat now. Oh, I'm a man now, but then I can be a woman. Then I'm like a girl now. Then I'm like a 5-year-old. Now I got to put on a nappy. Now I got to put on a wig. Now I got to put on a dress. Now I got to grow my mustache out. What the fuck?
Situation is as follows, and I updated you guys on this earlier. The bodies were released in coffins with keys that didn't work. So whether it be psychological terror or part of a larger operation, I think Hamas...
Just think about that. Hey, America, right? If this happened to you, how do you think your government would work right now? If this happened to us, we'd be raging. I know I would be. The same way I'm raging now, maybe even more, because it's one of us. No difference, actually, to be honest. I'd probably rage the same amount. I would have someone to rage at, which would be my government, for allowing it to happen.
Realizes that its back is against the wall.
But here's the thing. The left in Israel, the socialist commies, are what's holding Israel from doing what they need to do, which is go scorched earth on the terrorists. See, like I said, if Palestinians don't want to be there suffering, supposedly because they all look fat to me. Did you guys see that fat freaking Hamas's, big fat wife? And that dude, there was a kid who was like fat ass. Going, we're starving here. And they're like, we're back. And they're like all fat as fuck. And they're like, we're starving, we're dying here.
And it's got no money, no more cards to play. And once this phase of the ceasefire is over, they are down and down bad. And I think Hamas has recognized this and realized that they're trying to get one more punch in before they go down swinging.
And that's why you got to go scorched earth. Get in there before they get back. Because here's the thing. They went and put bombs on as many buses, public buses that were supposed to go off at 9 a.m. in the morning. That shows you that they've taken the first punch. You got to knock them out. You can't just sit around wringing your hands, go, "Oh, what should we do next, bro? Hey, cuz, oh, we don't want to get another black eye, eh?" You go shoot the kneecaps off. Mafia. Oh, wait. Ireland. Kneecaps are Ireland. Apologies, not mafia. It wasn't like baseball bats over the head. Yeah, I think mafia. Go mafia.
And I think that when you have nothing to lose, that drives you to do insane things like this. It's not so crazy from their normal track record. I mean, they're pretty used to blowing up buses and trying to kill innocent civilians. But I think potentially, and there's no substantiated claims, I haven't seen any connection to this yet. But yeah, this is just my personal opinion. I think that there's a chance that today's release.
Hamas claimed as theirs. They did this.
Of the Bebas family, which has not been confirmed to be them yet, because I don't think the coffins have been able to be opened yet. I think they're also trying to figure out if there's explosives in these coffins. This may have been a part of this terrorist attack. They may have just tried to stall with these coffins by getting locks that weren't going to be opened. And then maybe those coffins were part of the detonation. Or maybe the whole thing is just one big psychological terror operation. Regardless, the situation is really, really bad. You know, I kept saying this over and over again. Palestinians need to back away. They need to back away hard from this movement. If Palestinians actually have any desire of living in peace with Israelis, with Jews in one country, in one land together, the time was yesterday to come out open.
Nah, fuck it. At this point, I'm like, fuck it. I don't care. You guys, 70% of you guys went out and raped and pillaged and looted and killed. Fuck you. I don't give a fuck about Palestinians no more. Honestly, I don't. At this point, it's like, nah. I mean, I've been on I'm on the fence, like, okay, yeah, at this point, I'm like, nah, fuck it. Because they've become the monsters. Right? They become the monsters. And the only people that don't understand that are the Israelis on the left, the religious ones, ultra-religious ones who think they can go around and it'll be peace. The ones, the ones where they were in the kibbutz, who had their phones turned off on October 7th when they were attacked. So nobody knew what was going on. Nobody was watching listening to the news that there was all this attack coming on because religion was more important, right? You never sleep at the wheel when there's an enemy right next door, right? You never put down your weapon. Now, I'm going to move on and go to another terrible thing. This is Congo. We talked about Congo just the other week, right? So let me get us to Congo. So that's the Jews. Now we're going to go to the Christians. Now, so let me get this all prepped up. Oh. Click right, click left. Now this, I don't know what this happened. This came on just probably about 2 hours ago. Before I was running around cleaning up the friggin' apartment because I've just been getting a lot of stuff, and there's piles and piles of stuff, and I'm like, I can't barely move around this place. So I spent the last 2 hours. That's why went an hour later. I realized I was going to have to be, go a bit later, and then I saw this come up, and I'm like, we need to talk about this. Okay. Let's get this set up. All right. So this is from a Christian broadcasting network, right? And we looked at Congo. We looked at how Congo has been dealing with China. Last time we looked at that, and how South Africa has been dealing with China for the last 10 years, right? They're the new caretakers and the new saviors, messiahs for Africa, right? Because they've decided that white people are bad, and so they've been killing white people left, right, and center, taking all their goods, taking their farms, but eventually the Africans going to starve again. It'll be live aid all over again in about another couple of years, because all that mismanagement, because when people with the brains are dead, that you're beheaded, or they've left, right? And this happened in Fiji as well. There was a coup, and people just left Fiji. All the brains just left, right? All the Indians with the brains just left. And so you had a lot of people go, well, why the hell am I here trying to make this country better and use my intelligence to do business and stuff and help these people, when I can just take my family overseas and do better for myself, and then, and provide better for my family. And so this is what's happened with Africa, right? The white Africans have basically just decided, well, these people hate us. Whenever they see us, they want to chop our heads off. And I've actually heard of stories like in my city, right, from someone who's moved here, how they had a gun put to their head, and when they stopped at a light by black Africans with their family in the car, saying, "Give me everything you got. We're going to blow your head right now." And that's what's been happening for the past decade or so to white Africans and Indians, right, or non-black Africans. And this is what's been happening over there. Asians, you name it. Anybody that isn't black, right? They're being basically threatened, abused, violenced against, assaulted, just horrible, or murdered, right? Just from like entire families just gone. So now, when it comes to Christians, people don't want to report on Christians, right? Because, hey, religion, right? It's always like the West is this thing, like they don't even though like Christianity is a big, it's one of the big religions, right? And a lot of the whole thing is like Hollywood has taught you to hate Christianity. Media, entertainment has taught you to hate Christianity without even realizing what actual Christianity is, right? And I've been around Christians during my life, right? At least about 15 years of my life. So I know what Christians are like, and I know what bad Christians are like. And I know what just normal people just going about their way, going to church on Sunday and living their rest of life the way they want and during the week I like, right? So, but I understand religion because of being in that situation. And I come from Hinduism. I was born into Hinduism. But when I grew up, nobody ever forced me to go to temple. Mum didn't, obviously, even though she had her murtis, which are statues, right? Had a little worship place had a special place in the cupboard that she had, her private, where she would do her puja, like her worship and prayers. But she never said, "Hey, come sit here and do this." She was like, whatever you choose. And one thing I find really annoying about Christianity is that, like, they themselves have allowed a left to treat them like dog shit for decades, right? Especially in the media. But the same people who treat Christianity like dog shit will revere Islam and Muslims. It's weird as shit. It's like, and the thing is, why it's weird is because Islam, their prophet Muhammad, married a little girl at 6 years old, took her from his friend, because the guy she took the father was his mate, right? Aisha. He forcefully basically took her. He said, "I had a dream. Your daughter is supposed to be my wife." 6 years old. then 9 years old, and this is in the Quran, right? 9 years, he raped her. Because how do you have sex with this 9-year-old when you're 50? Well, that isn't made for a 9-year-old. I'm like for a 50-year-old, right? So yeah, so that's Muhammad in Islam, and so but that's it. Let's get on with this. So this is crazy, man. Like, so this is out of Congo. We looked at Congo last time. Let's do this.
70 Christians have been found beheaded. Yes, beheaded in a church in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Why is no one reporting this? Why does no one seem to care? Well, let me bring in Dexter Van Zyl, an expert on anti-Christian violence. Dexter, what can you tell us about this absolutely barbaric atrocity?
Okay, well, first of all, it took place in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is a huge country with about 105 million people, that right now is basically in a conflict with neighboring Rwanda over territory in Kivu, okay? And the violence was perpetrated by an organization that was affiliated with ISIS. And the thing is that there are some people who have
Muslims
argued that they are essentially working on behalf of Rwanda, because Rwanda is a neighboring country that covets and is actually taking control of an awful lot of the mineral resources in Kivu.
Isn't it interesting that like whenever like there's attacks on Christians and Jews, Israelis, right, or Hindus, it's always Islamists and Muslims who do it, right? Really, Canada, America, UK, India, Pakistan, Middle East, Africa. It's always Muslims who do it.
And so what this violence has done is demonstrated that the Congo cannot protect its citizens from violence in Kivu or in North Kivu. And so what people are...
Imagine 70 people, you go to church, and then you're at home, you're not a Christian, whatever. You're just a normal, person, agnostic, whatever you wanted to call it. And you go, where's my neighbors? Usually Bob's walking down the road. Let's say, I know, Kunta, whatever friggin' African name is, Swahili person, whatever you want to call it, right? James, most of them look good Christian names anyway. So just say, I'm sitting in my house and like James, I just watched James with his family go off to church Sunday, or maybe it was, one of those weekly prayer things, whatever they do. So there's some missionary meeting. And I'm having a smoke, having a drink, whatever, got the barbecue out with the family. I'm going, what's happening? Why isn't James and his family back? The brother went off. He's normally, from what I understand, he's going to come back after 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours. And in South Africa, they have longer meetings. Like in the islands, they have like 3-hour friggin' meetings. I can't handle that shit. I remember going to them and I was like, yeah, this is way too long. Hour and a half's good enough for me. Like a movie length. That's as long as church should be. Right. But and then you're just going, he's usually back around this time, and then you go, and then like Joe over there goes, hey James, did you see Paul come home yet? His family, I just got a call from his grandmother saying like, hey, she's been trying to ring his home. There's nobody been answering, and they've been waiting for them. And they're supposed to be home by now because they're supposed to come over tomorrow. So some sort of thing's gonna they had some arrangement. And James goes, nah, mate. I was like, I saw them go past, and next thing you know, they go, well, other people start going, oh, I didn't see Lucy either. She's, her and son and daughter went to church as well, and they haven't been back either. So they get together and they go, look, and there is in the church 70 Christians dead. no heads, or the heads chopped off in the church by Muslims.
Are worried about is that this is essentially an attempt to kind of destabilize the Democratic Republic of Congo and legitimize Rwandan claims to the minerals in the region. And I don't want to underestimate or downplay the ideological hatred by the perpetrators of this group who murdered these Christians. But the thing is that it's taking place against a backdrop of geopolitics in Africa. And what has happened is, and so if the Congo, under the leadership of Felix Tshisekedi, can't protect its borders, essentially it's going to have to go for help outside the country, and the people live there, and that's why people are worried about it. The Congolese that I've spoken to here in the States say, I said, wait a minute, are you telling me that the Rwanda is a Christian nation? And they said, yes, but this will help destabilize the region where all of these minerals that are used for the iPhones that we make, that we use in our lives. And so clearly there's an ideology.
Did you hear that? They're after the whatever. What is that in there? Like, there's a mineral. Let me just find out. I know it. I've looked into it before. What is the mineral that is mined in Congo that is used in iPhones? Give me a sec. Yep. Coltan. Right? The mineral mined in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, that is used in iPhones and other electronics is primarily coltan, columbite tantalite, which is refined into tantalum. Right? So this war is all about the old iPhone and other electronic shit. So people dying for coltan. So many people had to die for your cheap fucking phones. And I love how the leftists always complain about, oh, you know, this and that, and while they're eating their avocado toast, right? That used to always crack me up. Like my mom's, we've got an avocado tree, and most of it, like, we just give it away, or like birds get into it, or rats or possums get into it and they leave holes. And we grow a lot here. But I think it was a couple of years ago, they were like dying for their avocado toast and their Starbucks coffee, you know, and they were like, and like how the West was so miserable and it was terrible, and they were like, it was so bad, you know, and I was like, you have an entire computer on your hand to learn, to find knowledge, instant news about anything, anywhere in the world. And you can connect to anybody, anywhere in the world, as long as you got their details, right? Social media, whatever. And yet you want to complain about how bad the West is. Yet there are people dying for the friggin', thing that goes into that. And we looked at Congo and how it's been bastardized forever because amongst its own militias wanting control of all that, so they kill each other off, and they fight each other over it. And whoever has a bigger gun, or is backed by the bigger friggin' boss, right, or whoever's got the most access to the mines. If you have the mines, then you can sell whatever's there, the coltan, the diamonds, the gold, whatever, and buy more weapons. So you wipe out more people. It's Africa's basically dog eat dog, right? They're barbarians. They become barbarian. They've never given up tribalism, which is the weirdest thing. Just like the Middle East, they've never given up tribalism, This is why I don't hate the notion of brown people or ethnic people being so special, right? The only thing that makes us head into the future is when we give up our tribalism, right? When we stop being so tribalistic. It's like, oh, I belong to this tribe and you belong to that tribe, so I can't talk to you, or I want to keep mine from you because I'm this tribe. It's always been that way with ethnic people, right? And it's just crazy. It's like really used to drive me mad, like how everybody, especially the left, reveres ethnic people. It's like, yeah, appreciate the culture, cool, something different, but still, without Europeans, we would have killed each other off, ourselves off. Not you killed us off, ourselves off. We'd be dead, right? Most of the tribes in the world would be extinct by now. Honestly, we'll be gone. Like Africa would have wiped each other out by that time, right? Because same with America, man. Like they were hunting each other down, right? For territory, for food, whatever. The next buffalo, whatever. And what in South America? Was it the Aztecs were killing each other off, sacrificing to the gods? India, dang, they were getting raped and pillaged by Muslims every 30 years, 20 years. Yeah.
Logical and a theological component going on, but there's also a strategic issue as well.
Oh,
it's terrible, isn't it? It's hard. As a former Peace Corps volunteer, I served in the Congo for about a year, 14 months in the 1980s. And the problem is that if this violence is allowed to continue and the average Congolese learns and recognizes, and the violence like this against Christians perpetrated by jihadists is not a new problem. It's been a problem in North Africa for a long time. And the problem is that trying to get people to pay attention to it is very difficult.
Well, that's my second question is you see the headline, 70 Christians beheaded, and you think, what? You almost can't fathom that headline. But is Islamic violence against Christians in Africa, is this an anomaly, basically?
Oh, no, absolutely not. This takes place in a number of countries throughout the region. And there are some people who are worried that essentially what we're looking at is a jihad against Christians in numerous other places in North Africa. And routinely we hear reports of these acts of violence. And the problem is that what happens when the Christians start to fight back? Are we going to start to see the equivalent of an interreligious war in the continent? And the problem is that there's going to be huge problems with this. The problem.
So here's the problem I see with religion, right? This is why I'm not religious, because I couldn't handle having my hands tied by religion. If somebody hits me, I'm going to hit them back. If somebody hits my family or someone in my family, I'm going to attack. Right? I'm for the I'll try to keep peace as much as I can, but like really, when you're beheading fucking people, I ain't holding back. And this is the problem that the Pope, especially the Pope and his bullshit, right? And his Catholicism and his bullshit preaching, right? Kind of evil, to be honest. I just think, the Pope is evil as shit. He preaches shit that doesn't even go in line with the Bible. But the idea is that he doesn't even help his own people in Africa. He doesn't even say, this is wrong. He's all for Allah. He's all for Quran. We should all appreciate. Yeah, but your Quran loving people are basically killing your Christian brothers and sisters and beheading them in churches, in your holy places, or in your holy places worship. I just can't. Yeah, that shit I can't handle, man. That's why I'm not religious.
Is that first of all, the reason why this doesn't get as much traction as say, the conflict, the Palestinian suffering in Gaza is because there's just not that many reporters on the ground. And the Congo is a huge, dangerous place.
See, this is where bullshit starts happening with Christians themselves. Muddy the water. What the fuck's that got to do with fucking Africa right now? Oh, I accept the fact that it was Muslims who were killing, right? Why don't you say that? It cracks me up. Anyway, links in the chat. Check it out for yourself. But this is why I'm not religious, man, because religion ties your hands up, right? That's why I don't like the UN. UN ties up hands. Or you can't do this because we're part of this. Nah. A country should have their own autonomy to do whatever the fuck they want to protect themselves. And this is why Israel has been sucking so badly, because they've allowed to be part of themselves, part of the UN Charter, which ties their hands back while everybody else is allowed to attack them all day long, right? Let me see if I got something else on this tone before we go to the next lot. Okay, so is that the one? Right, so I remember, like, we were talking about, I mean, we did a whole scam thing with China and about call centers. So this is in Myanmar, right? We did that a couple of weeks back. And so this is the follow-up to that. So I'll play this all the way through.
And China continues to put the heat on scam syndicates operating on the Thai-Myanmar border. Under pressure from Beijing, both the Myanmar military government and a rival ethnic minority militia operating in the region have vowed to crack down on criminal gangs preying on foreign nationals. The issue hitting the headlines after pleas of help from the girlfriend of a missing Chinese actor Wang Xing that went viral last month. He was promptly rescued from suspected traffickers and returned safely to China. Thailand has been on a blitz since then to restore Chinese confidence in the country as a holiday destination. And Saksit Sasamba joins us live from Bangkok on this. Saksit, lots of movements from different parties over this scam syndicates issue. What are some of the latest that are of note?
Now, indeed, there has been a lot of movement, not only over the past few days, but also over the past few weeks. But now it seems to have taken another dimension now, obviously, since during the weekend, the border guard forces, one of the militias that are controlling the border towns in Myanmar and bordering to Thailand, they have announced that they are ready to repatriate 10,000 people that have been working at these scam centers, that they are ready to send them back, 500 a day.
Did you hear that? There was 10,000 people held against their will as captives in these call centers over the border in Myanmar, going across from Thailand. And later I'll link that video, like the live stream that we did, to this one underneath, so you guys can check it out. But we did it like always with this, on this channel. I basically do half. The first half is about all these other things to follow up, and then we go to the mainstream main topic. So it wasn't it wasn't like the opening half.
But according to CNA information, there has been no date whatsoever yet when that is going to happen. And this is also coinciding with the appearance of the Assistant Public Security Minister from China, Mr. Liu Zhongyi. He has been in Mae Sot and also in Myanmar on the other side of the border as well, overlooking the repatriation efforts, or at least the preparations for these repatriation efforts. In Myanmar, he has seen and met about a group of 300 foreigners, more or less, and the majority of them are Chinese. But again, there's no data.
Yeah, it was Chinese scamming Chinese. That's what we found out when we did when we looked at this last time.
Whatsoever when they are going to cross over into Thailand. And Mr. Liu himself, he has already left Mae Sot, destination unknown. But then there is the question about what is going to happen when those former scam center people are coming over to Thailand. Now, we got a taste of that last week when about 260 people came over to Thailand. They are still being processed in the Thai military.
By the way, these people, these 10,000 that were held there at gunpoint and chained and tortured, they were tortured and chained by Chinese nationals, scamming their own people. And the only reason anything happened was because one of them was a very fucking famous Chinese actor. And his girlfriend, like they mentioned earlier, made a big deal about it. Otherwise, this would have kept going. Because they don't really care. Like, Chinese don't care about their own people. I mean, the government I'm talking about. You'll see soon. We got a little bit more to go with the Chinese soon.
Camp. So there's also opened up the question. The Thai police has met up with foreign embassies to talk about what is going to happen next. We are hearing that several different approaches of them. Are they going to be processed here before sending back? Or in the case what we have heard from China, for example.
Dude, don't look like too much Chinese, right? They were taking anyone. They were scamming and kept taking anyone.
They would rather take them back to China and process them there. And just to give you another dimension to this, we are talking about not only about people from China, not only from people in the neighborhood here in ASEAN, but also people from as far away as Ethiopia.
Yeah, see what I mean? I told you. They're from Kenya, Tanzania, and Brazil. Any tourist they can get their hands on. And you'll see what reason why if you watch the other.
Kenya, Tanzania, and even Brazil. So it goes to show that the victims, or at least the people that were in scam centers, they're quite far away from home.
All right, Saxon, the large number of potential deportees suggests more are being found, and therefore perhaps more of these crime scam syndicates, they are actually being found and I suppose tracked down as well. So there has been concern in the past, also urging for action on all parties. So what we're seeing now, do you see this as a steeper effort to crack down? And if it is, will this be a lasting, a sustained result we can see from this crackdown?
That is a very good question, and there's a healthy amount of skepticism among observers here, whether or not this is a long-lasting impact or not, especially because we know that these scam centers have been existing there at the border for quite a while now. We know that they have been flourishing in the past few years, especially since the military coup in Myanmar in 2021. So then, of course, the question is, why haven't they cracked down on them sooner? Now, there has been an increased pressure by China on ASEAN countries, but also particularly on Thailand as well, ever since the misfortune of Chinese actor Wang Xing, as you just mentioned earlier as well. And that has spurred the Thai government into action, cutting off power supplies and internet supplies over to these scam centers. But well, those scam centers have generators and solar panels, so the effect seems to be rather limited. So the question is going to be, once the dust has settled, once, for example, a large amount of people have been now repatriated, are these scam centers still operational? Are these scams still going to happen? Now, we're already seeing that some of these places are going to move elsewhere along the border. So it seems to be that we are still, and the authorities in Thailand and elsewhere are still in a long fight against them.
Success Sambat reporting there on a long fight, likely reporting to us again on the scam syndicate centers being found on the border between Thailand and Myanmar. Of course, Success in Bangkok for us.
So that's that. They got something done, right? The news, it popped off, and we covered this a couple of weeks ago. But now, at least they're doing something. 10,000 people were held captive. Seriously, 10K in Myanmar. Man, that's a lot of fucking people. Seriously. I mean, just in a little area like that. Now next we're going to cover is what's like the other week. The other day we talked about how there's this pandemic happening with a flu, right? A flu that they can't control because they reckon, by the way, it has to do with the vaccines from COVID. So, because as we suspected that taking the fast, and I'm not trying to be like some fucking conspiracy theorist. I take medicine every day. I take painkillers every day for my injuries. So I'm not an anti-vax or any bullshit like that. But the thing was, I was hesitant because how they were pressuring everybody to take it. And I was like, yeah, nah, I'm going to look after myself. And I had it twice, COVID. And I was going to like, I'll take the vitamins. I'll make sure I cook food that's healthy for me. And yeah, the only time I actually got it was when I left the house and I was at a group environment at a convention. And that was like 2022. And I think that was it. And I had a little bit after that as well because of group situation. Well, when you're on your own, you're fine. Now, this has been crazy because it's been killing, it's deadly, this flu, right? It's not just a random flu. It's a lot like COVID, but actually stronger because of how people who have already taken the vaccine, their immune system's screwed up.
Someone working in pandemic prevention in China revealed to overseas media that several provinces have quietly built quarantine zones and makeshift hospitals, almost as if they're preparing for the next wave of infections. This person said they had previously encountered more than 100 cases of people infected with the H5N1 bird flu, which has a fatality rate as high as 68%. In other words, out of 100 infected people, nearly 70 died. That's a much higher death rate than what the Chinese Communist Party had previously reported for COVID-19. Despite this, many parts of China have been building new makeshift hospitals. Right now, we can't confirm the exact locations of these facilities. However, footage from a human plague emergency drill in Yunlin, Shanxi, at the end of last year reminds many of the early pandemic days when similar makeshift hospitals were set up. On October 18, 2024, the drill began with an announcement. The 2024 Northern Shanxi Human Plague Emergency Drill has started. A group of people in protective suits ran forward, carrying spray tanks that appeared to be filled with disinfectant. They then entered small separated rooms, where medical staff began questioning patients about their symptoms. Some people commented online that the authorities might use pandemic fears to control certain areas by claiming there's an outbreak. They said the government could exploit people's fear of death to justify lockdowns. The chaos of the 2022 lockdown in Shanghai's Nanhui district is still vivid in people's memories. Back then, patients in the makeshift hospital had to fight each other for supplies. Everyone is rushing to grab things: water, electric kettles. My mom and I can't do anything at all. I feel like crying, really. I don't have time now. I need to go fight for supplies. If you have time, please help expose this. It's terrifying. You can't even get rice inside. It's all spilled on the floor. What are we supposed to do? My mom and I only managed to grab a box of water. Everyone is scrambling. I can't even squeeze in. I can't get anything. Please expose this. It has to be exposed. This is Nanhui Fangcang. It's terrifying. It's in chaos and no one is managing it. Everyone has to fight for supplies on their own. People are panicking. Please help expose this. Help me spread the word. This is my quarantine site and we have to fight for everything ourselves. The water is too heavy and my mom and I can't even carry it. Several people confirmed that supplies were indeed being taken by force. One person wrote, "This is something my friend experienced firsthand. I hope more people can see this. The government can't ignore public sentiment just to protect their political achievements. Staging things is pointless." Another person commented, "My mother-in-law is there too. She's elderly and recently had surgery. She hasn't been able to get any food or water. She's been struggling since 1 a.m., hasn't eaten or slept, and she couldn't even get a sip of water. We're so worried about her." Someone else wrote, "Shanghai, the so-called magic city, a global financial hub with all its fancy cafes and lifestyle, is this year's biggest joke. Why force asymptomatic patients into these conditions? People with strong immune systems would recover in a few days at home. It's the 21st century and they're still dragging people to these makeshift hospitals. Where's the humanity?" The pandemic prevention expert we mentioned earlier revealed that China is currently experiencing an outbreak of the H5N1 bird flu. A medical professional in Beijing, known for their integrity, also confirmed to the media that H5N1 has broken out. Li Muyang, the host of the news program News Insight, said the Chinese authorities are likely using the term flu to cover up the highly pathogenic H5N1 bird flu. The Chinese Communist Party is afraid that acknowledging the truth might cause public panic and further damage the economy. On February 4th, Chinese state media reported that the latest data from the CDC indicated COVID-19 might be evolving into a seasonal illness similar to the flu. Out of 1,513 respiratory infection cases tested, people aged 30 to 40 were found to be 2.3 times more likely than other age groups to face the risk of co-infection with both COVID-19 and the flu.
So this is interesting, right? When I hit this, I was like, wait. So it's doing the middle, like the healthy people, right? Around the 40, 50, 30, that, that group, which, usually during COVID, it was like hitting the elderly more and comorbidities, bidities, something like that. Always a problem pronouncing that word. However, she's saying 40s and 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds.
Out of 1,513 respiratory infection cases tested, people aged 30 to 40 were found to be 2.3 times more likely than other age groups to face the risk of co-infection with both COVID-19 and the flu. Then, on February 11th, an employee from a local CDC office confirmed that human cases of bird flu had indeed appeared in Shanxi province. However, the employee said they couldn't discuss the exact number of infections or deaths. Another staff member revealed that 2,000 people in Shanxi had been infected.
That's a lot of friggin' people. Right. 2,000 infected with H5N1, and 300 had already died from the virus, just in one area.
With H5N1, and 300 had already died from the virus. In fact, reports of a bird flu outbreak had already surfaced in December and January.
Shit.
On January 26th, a TikToker known as Goose
so here's the thing, right? So if the bird flu had already broken out in December, and in February, say, what was like, I think it was 7 to 11, they have the New Year's, right? Chinese. Let me just figure out, what was it? In 2025, what date? What week, I should say, because everybody was traveling. What week was the Chinese New Year? I think I spelled it wrong. I put a 2 and an O. Oh, okay. So here we go. So in 2025, Chinese New Year falls on Wednesday, January 29th. And then it's basically based on a lunar thing. So it goes for 15 days, right? So which meant that for 2 weeks, right, these people were like in big groups, right? Now, the reason I say that is because, as we mentioned last time we talked about China and about the holidays and about pandemic, was that they all get off work, entire country, on the same time. For those 2 weeks, everybody is at home or in traveling, at going to special places to see special sites. There's one where they went to this town that's supposed to be the beautiful Christmas Christmas town, which was basically proved to be fake because it was supposed to be a snowy Christmas town, center town, and it was like cotton wool and salt and friggin' what else did they use? Soap powder, like soap bubbles as snow, and they had to close it down because they got caught. It was crazy. But yeah, so the Lenten Festival, right? So for 2 weeks, they basically had to they were around everybody. So with the pandemic, right, with the bird flu, H5N1, what was it like called? With that, right? So with that being there, everybody's around everybody else. They're mixing it up. So they're breathing everybody. Like I said, I went to a huge, convention, ran a convention. So I was around people breathing. So there might be 1 or 2 people that might have had COVID, right? They should have been wearing a mask or something, but didn't know they probably didn't even know they were sick, right? And they will pass it on to me, right? And that's how I got sick. Now, I'm just one person. Think of all these other people like are sick, passing it on to each other. It's crazy ass, man. Like, I mean, crazy ass sick. And how do you, like, when you're in groups of thousands of people, like we saw last time, there was like people at these events, like in the thousands, right? Hundreds, all sardine canned at these tourism places. So there was something later I wanted to show. And the thing is, here one of my artists, his family caught the flu, which I thought was this flu because he said it was pretty crazy. Right, so people are traveling as well. Like during that 2-week period, right, February and at Christmas, people travel out of China. So, it's easy to pass around the bird flu if you're traveling and nobody's telling you that in China that the bird flu pandemic's out, and you just leave the country not knowing that you have got it. That's what happened to Wuhan, right? That's how it got into the rest of the world, because they didn't even know. By the time it was known, they didn't say, well, it's not from us. But look at this. These are hospitals, man. Right? Here we go. I think it was this one. Yeah.
Many people have the flu. A few of us who haven't finished the.
There's a doctor. That's the one I want to show you.
Amid the ongoing outbreak, even doctors are feeling uneasy.
现在呢是下午19点啊。It's 7 p.m. and I just finished the surgery. Please, everyone, keep your masks firmly on your face. I've been in the operating room all day, and almost every person in there, whether it's the anesthesiologists, nurses, or doctors, has a cough or a stuffy nose. So many people have the flu. A few of us who haven't caught it yet just went to the clinic to get medicine. For the next 2 or 3 months, keep your masks on.
Meanwhile, Chinese doctor Wu Shouquan told overseas media, here's another case of type A flu. The patient tried to tough it out for 3 days, but by then their lungs had completely turned white. Another doctor, Dr. Feng, described a recent patient. A man came to the clinic with flu symptoms. Within just a few days, his condition rapidly worsened, and he developed white lung. Some Beijing residents have also reported a growing number of infections in the city and its surrounding areas.
我真的是凭借一己之力把我们一家人全传染了。我应该是我们家最严重的。
I'm the one who infected my whole family. I think I have the worst symptoms. I passed it to my daughter, and now my husband and my mom are both coughing too. I took a home test, and yesterday my daughter and I even went to the hospital for a blood test. It's not type A flu, not type B, and not mycoplasma pneumonia. The doctors don't know what it is, so they just said it's a common viral infection. But based on the symptoms, it doesn't feel like a regular cold. I looked it up online, and it seems like there's talk about a new Beijing virus. From what I'm experiencing, it's definitely not a normal cold. Right now, this kind of illness seems to be spreading across Beijing and the surrounding areas. My daughter is still coughing in the bedroom. Everyone, please wear masks and take precautions. Since the Lunar New Year,
Now, I'm going to move on, but the link's there for the rest of the video. And this is the other reason why, I've been talking about this, about the food, and why, along with the friggin' vaccine, along with the unhealthy, lifestyle, because of all the crappy food there, fake stuff that they eat, what's happened is,
recently,
sorry, I've hit the same one. It's their immune system screwed up, right? How, in the West here, we make sure we go through rigorous checks on our food, right? I know my dad, who used to be a meat inspector, right? He's a guy who checks to make sure there's no foot or mouth disease in beasts, right? In animals, right? When they go to the slaughter, we make sure that there's no disease there, so that when it actually ends up on your table, right? And think about it, he spent like 30, 40 years in, supplying the world, New Zealand beef. He's one of the few that checked, many I should say, that was there checking, making sure that the meat was healthy. By the time it arrived to your plate, that there was nothing wrong with New Zealand meat, right? But these guys don't have that sort of regulation. It's so corrupt. It's so bad. Like, people are unemployed to a point where they can't afford food. So everybody who wants to work has to work for less and less pay, right? And so the worker's getting paid less, the business is making less, so they have to make, and nobody wants to buy pay what the food's worth. So they cheapen, the quality of the food, right? And cheat the system, because now nobody gives a shit if the food is healthy or not. And so this, along with the flu and the your immune system being ruined by the vaccine, which was we don't even know what fucking vaccine they use in China, right? And so these people who had to take them by force or be locked up in their homes, and they don't even know how many millions died, right? There's no exact number, because only the government knows the exact number during COVID, how many people died in China.
On February 11th, an ex-user from Hunan, China, secretly filmed a hidden illegal gutter oil workshop located in a rural area. In the video, the yard was filled with dark, dirty barrels, and workers were boiling waste oil in a pot. The environment...
See, communism's so fucked up is that people don't care about other people. They just I gotta take what's mine, right? I gotta get, what is it like? I gotta get what's mine, or I gotta get mine, whatever. I can't remember. It was like in the 90s we used to say that, right? It was like it had to do with rap, hip hop. I gotta get mine, all right? What's mine? So they don't care about children, they don't care about the elderly, they don't care about the neighbors. They just want to get their money, right? Sell it off cheap as they can, get their money on the next one. And so communism teaches them to hate, not hate, but just be corrupt, just like the government's corrupt, right? And this is why I hate communism. This is why I hate socialism, because it makes you believe everything government says and yet hate everybody else because your whole life is, bad. It's just so, I can't articulate it the way I want to, right? But it's just a fucking screwed up system.
Appeared highly unhygienic and unpleasant. You just can't see it, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Did you see it? The ex-user then urged people to cook at home as much as possible, suggesting that the gutter oil might be entering everyday meals through restaurants and takeout.
So I'm not sure if you noticed what was happening. I was talking over it. So this person is boiling up gutter, and I mean that, oil that's gone into the gutter that they've collected, that then they've gone and burn it off, right? Or whatever, try to refine it. And now they're going to sell that off or use it again in their restaurant. I don't think this is actually a gutter oil refining factory, right? And then the restaurants are going to use this to cook your food in. And you're going to go, oh, this is a restaurant. Supposed, they're not going to cook my food in gutter oil. I mean, it is literal gutter oil. I've heard the word so many times. In my head, it's like, oh, it's numb to it now. But it's literal gutter oil.
It doesn't exist. Did you see it? The ex-user then urged people to cook at home as much as possible, suggesting that the gutter oil might be entering everyday meals through restaurants and takeout. After the video was posted, it immediately sparked heated discussions online. Many people reacted by calling it disgusting and saying they would never dare to eat out again.
The problem is they've already eaten it out. They've already eaten it. Sorry, I shouldn't say eaten it out. They've already eaten it. It's already in the system. This is why when pandemic hits, or they get ill, they get flu, it hits them hard. And that's why they go, well, we don't know what virus it is, because their immune's so screwed up. And all the disgusting things that are in that oil that their food's been cooked in, right, is now part of their system. It's crazy. Like white lung, right? The guy mentioned earlier in the last video. But, the dude comes in, he's got problems with coughing, flu-like symptoms. Next thing, he's got white lung.
commenter said, I thought food.
He goes, look at this. I've seen it happen in the sewer. My aunt used to sell pig feet and pig heads. Some people collect waste oil for skincare. Just think about it. A locator in Sichuan, I have seen people fishing out waste oil several times. This one, he goes, I thought the rice scraps were for feeding pigs, but it turns out they are for us.
Food scraps were for feeding pigs, but it turns out they're feeding us. One person who had worked as a waitress at a hot pot restaurant shared that many hot pot places also use re-refined oil. A user from Shenzhen mentions that they have.
Get that? Remember what I was saying about gutter oil? This is the street. This is the fucking gutter on the street, man. The manhole. You know, they have the manhole there to clean, you know, make sure that if something gets stuck, you pull it up and you. Imagine bringing up children or yourself in a society like that shit. Can you imagine that? Openly in the daytime. Like, look, there's shadows, sun shadows here. This is daylight.
Gutter oil being scooped several times in person. However, others argue that gutter oil is mostly used for making biodiesel, aviation fuel, and other products now, and no one is producing edible oil from it anymore due to the low profits and high risks. While the final destination of gutter oil remains unclear.
Shit. That was gross. I did not expect that.
The practice of scooping it up is still commonly seen in many cities. A TikTok user from Chongqing shared that just 2 days ago, they had eaten skewers from a street vendor, and today they unexpectedly saw the vendor scooping gutter oil. They were truly shocked.
Imagine having bought food from the dude 2 days earlier, and then you go back. You probably went back to buy some, and then realizing this is what was happening.
This lady saw 2 people scooping gutter oil late at night.
You are not making gutter oil, are you? Why are you doing this? Are you from some restaurant? Or do you specifically sell this stuff? What exactly are you doing?
I'm cleaning the tank, otherwise it'll freeze up here.
Why are you cleaning the tank in the middle of the night? And you two aren't even wearing work uniforms. What restaurant are you from?
The 2 individuals did not directly respond to the woman's questions, nor did they explain what the gutter oil they had scooped out would be used for.
Okay. That's enough of that. But that just grossed me out, man. So next up, we're a nation that has more lambs than any other per capita than human beings, right? So this really pissed me off. But first, we're going to look at the chickens. Okay.
And fried chicken have similar hygiene issues.
Hold on.
Students and young people lining up daily.
This
Even
is
food delivery chains selling fried skewers and fried chicken.
So this is outside of school. Remember I was saying about children, feeding children. So this is what they were doing outside of school.
Particularly those selling fried skewers. The ingredients are often unknown, pre-made products, fried in reused oil, then coated in a special sauce that masks the taste. Consumers can't tell if they're eating real meat or something else. Yet these stalls remain popular, with students and young people lining up daily. Even food delivery chains selling fried skewers and fried chicken have similar hygiene issues. A delivery driver, based on first-hand experience, is warning customers about which stores to avoid.
建议大家订外卖的时候
I suggest when you order takeout, don't order things like fried skewers, especially from certain brands. Let me rule out a few places for you. First, don't order from the red sign fried skewers. Their kitchen is filthy, like a public restroom. Then don't order from the yellow sign fried skewers. They're full of tricks and man-made ingredients, and after you eat, your head will be dizzy, and you'll end up with diarrhea. And don't order from the orange-yellow sign. Their oil and meat are cheap. After eating, you feel sick in your stomach. And another red sign fried skewer place, don't order from them. They're all marketing, selling their name, and the food isn't even good. It's ridiculously expensive. Lastly, don't order the chicken cutlets from this red sign. They're all pre-made food. Just eat and you will be put to silence. The delivery driver may have refrained from naming specific stores out of fear of retaliation, but regular takeout customers likely have some idea. Based on his comments, it appears that very few takeout shops can be trusted. Next, a street vendor selling lamb skewers has caught attention. The skewers fresh.
So yeah, this is the lamb one, right? Like I said, like my dad worked in the meat works for 40 years. He's the last, when the animal arrives, he makes sure before it gets to the butchery, make sure it's healthy. The foot and mouth is like really bad for you. It's like, let me just find it. It's a brain damage in humans, I think, if I remember right. It's been a while since I've looked at it. What does the foot and mouth disease in cattle cause to humans? Because we're basically, an export nation. We export all our, the best meat to the world. And the rest of the world gets our meat for cheap. We pay like top dollar for it. Right. So foot and mouth FND, right? Rare infections. Humans rarely contract FND. Cases have been reported that are extremely thing. So where is it? No, wait, that's the wrong one. I think I was looking after the one that. Oh yeah, this is just a standard, right? FND, but there was another one. There's one like the mad cow. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking about the mad cow disease, right? So, but anyway, let me read this out. So FND, right? Foot and mouth. Symptoms include fever, blisters on hands, feet, or mouth, mild and temporary, sore throat, conjunctivitis, eye inflammation, right? Important distinctions: FND is not the same as hand, foot, and mouth disease, HFMD, which is common childhood disease, illness caused by different viruses. Okay, now mad cow is the one, mad cow disease. What is, whoops. That's what was a huge concern early on. There was like a couple of years back, there was a huge outbreak, and cows had to be, cattle had to be slaughtered everywhere. What is the result of mad cow? Right, I think this is the one I was thinking about. Yeah, bovine, spongiform. Oh, gosh, yeah, this is the one. Infected meat. This is why my brain started ticking off. So, right, so this is what it is. Let me go back to ChatG. Okay, BSE, mad cow disease. I don't even know what that word is. Encephalopathy. Yeah, bovine spongiform encephalopathy. I'm going to get it wrong. So it's BSE. There's a fatal neurodegenerative. Yeah, that's the brain one. Yeah, neurodegenerative disease in cattle that can have serious consequences for humans if infected meat is consumed. Right, loss of coordination. Right, stumbling and trouble standing, behavioral changes, aggression, anxiety, weight loss despite normal appetite, and eventual paralysis, and death. Right. as early stage depression, anxiety, memory loss, and then poor coordination. Later stage dementia, muscle stiffness, difficulty speaking and swallowing, coma, and death. Usually within months, 2 years. So with these crazy nutcases, right, doing this sort of shit to meat as a meat eater, and from from a family, butchers, this sort of thing drives me nuts.
Actually grilled and appearing colorful seem appetizing at first glance. However, upon closer inspection, the box beneath the grill clearly states imitation lamb customized by Hong Jia. Apparently, the vendor has carelessly revealed her business secret. One commenter humorously remarked, "Could this be specifically for foreigners? They don't understand Chinese anyway." On February 13th, a shopper bought a pre-made crispy meat product from a supermarket. After cooking it, they were shocked to find the chicken breast inside could be pulled into strands with a texture resembling plastic. The worst part, they had already eaten most of it and couldn't spit it out. One commenter speculated that the product probably wasn't plastic, but was likely artificial chicken breast, possibly with an excess of carrageenan. In Nanjing, Jiangsu, a woman was filmed filling a urinal in a men's restroom.
Okay. You guys can watch that later. That's enough for me from that. Yeah. I had enough trouble with that other one, and I don't think I'm going to go further into that, but into that video. However, let's move on to the main topic of the day. Didn't expect to go 2 hours into this before we get to the main topic. So this is a short clip, and then we're going to go to a long clip. The Zulocks. Even their fucking name sounds like a monster. Names of some evil villain, right?
Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. Developing now, a couple is behind bars accused of producing child porn. Authorities say with their adopted kids. It allegedly happened at their Oxford home. CBS 46's Yasmina Alston is live for us in Walton County with these disturbing details. Yasmina, good evening.
Dang it. I got to come up with something better than that, right?
Yes, Savannah, good evening. And very disturbing details indeed. The Walton County Sheriff's Office says that it was an investigation by the GBI that led them to the couple. According to authorities, the couple was making in their home. Zachary Zulock and his husband William Zulock are being charged.
Yeah, so I was like, I thought when they blanked out what she said, right? It just went mute. I was like, did I press something wrong? But this is what she meant. Child porn. Right? That they were making in their homes with adopted children. So look at the house. These are rich gay men, right? Very well to do. And so no red flags because, hey, they can afford to look after these these kids, right? So why not? Let them have them. And then normally, like in situations like this, when parents who can't have children, mom and, husband and wife, they'll make them wait for ages. However, but they're rich, so let them have the kids.
Zulocks and his husband William Zulocks are being charged for child sex crimes. The Walton County Sheriff's Office raided their home on St. Regis Way in Oxford and found that both men were engaging in sexually abusive acts and videotaping it with their adopted sibling children. The two children were taken out of.
The kids were brothers. And that's the other thing, right? It's like, take both of them because you don't want to split up the family. I wonder what happened to the parents of these kids, right? These kids' lives are ruined. They're fucked. Honestly, they're fucked. They're going to have like decades of therapy to deal with.
Of harm's way, police saying that material was being downloaded, which was discovered during a search warrant in unincorporated Loganville. Now, we did speak with neighbors in that community off camera. They did not want to speak on camera, but they do say it was very shocking to find out that was happening, and they said it was awful for those children. We'll, of course, keep you updated as we learn more in this story. Live in Walton County, Yasmina Alston, CBS 46 News.
Yasmina, thank you.
Now, this is the long one. It's covered by Law and Crime channel. Just getting all the all the clips together, like links, so you guys can look at it later, because I'm sure I'm not going to be able to go handle all of this, but we'll see. We'll see how we go. Look at this picture.
Years behind bars after adopting two young boys to repeatedly rape. The dads even installed cameras throughout their family home to capture this ongoing sexual abuse. If that wasn't enough, though, they posted the images and videos online so other predators could view these horrifying crimes. We cover a lot of really intense topics here on Law and Crime, and this one is truly one of the more messed up stories I've ever looked at. I mean, we're talking about two young children who are the victims in this story, which unto itself is heartbreaking. But it's an added layer of depravity when we consider that the bad guys in this story are actually the boys' parents. A family's home is supposed to be safe. It's supposed to be a place where the kids can trust their parents and feel at home, but instead, first responders call this a house of horrors. That's a direct quote. Take this as your trigger warning, because right now we're going to dive into those details. The parents in this case are 34-year-old William and 36-year-old Zachary Zulocks. They're a married couple out of Walton County, Georgia, which is just east of Atlanta. We're not revealing their sons' names to keep the boys' privacy, but we can tell you that right now their ages 10 and 12, and they were adopted by the Zulocks through a Christian special needs agency. Outwardly, the Zulocks family seemed to have it all. William worked for the government and Zachary had a job in banking. Their home was upscale too, in a nice neighborhood of Loganville, Georgia. They posted pics online that were smiling, happy, basically looking like they were the picture-perfect family. They even have a photo wearing shirts that say, "Love my family," with the rainbow flag in support of Pride. But behind this facade, there was something much more sinister. Now, the investigation dates back to July 2022, when the Georgia Bureau of Investigation's Exploitation and Computer Crimes Unit got a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. According to this tip, child sex material was traced to an IP address in Walton County, Georgia. That's the same area where the Zulocks family lived. But the person behind this address, it was actually a man named Hunter Lawless, who was caught downloading homemade child porn onto his computer. Lawless fessed up right away, though. He admitted to the crime, but he told investigators it wasn't him who created these images. Instead, He said the person behind this child porn sex ring was a man named Zachary Zulock. And he said Zachary had sent him these images and videos, and in the past offered his sons up to Hunter Lawless. Just a quick note here, Hunter Lawless pleaded guilty to sexual exploitation of children and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. His arrest also led to the arrest of Luis Vicaro Sanchez, who was eventually charged and sentenced to 60 years in prison. Meanwhile, the investigation pointed back to the Zulock family. Inside their home, investigators collected 7 terabytes of child sex material. Let that number sink in. A terabyte holds 1,000 gigabytes. That's anywhere between 200,000 and 500,000 pictures. Or if it's video, it's 500 hours. That means these dads had more than 3,000 hours worth of child pornography recordings of their own sons. And if you want to quantify that in photos, we're talking upwards of 3.5 million pictures of 2 young boys, now ages 10 and 12. Investigators later revealed that the dads set up security cams in their own home, like how we see nanny cams or ring cams inside of our home, but these cams weren't used for security reasons.
So the fault, and I've mentioned I belong to the, what I consider the rainbow community. This sort of shit pisses me the hell off. Because I blame that Christian place that looked after special needs for allowing them to not background check these people. But it also kind of goes against the whole Christian thing. I'm going to be doing it like in the future. What I call like the snakes in Christianity thing, like people who pretend to be Christian and yet are totally opposite of it as well. Like, I'm not just going to be talking about like, Muslims and stuff, or like SCJ, the Korean church thing we did. We're covering everybody, no grass unturned kind of thing. Oh, no rug unturned. That's the one. So it's like grass, what? But the thing is, the kids had special needs. And these people basically probably thought they have all the money. As I mentioned, they're beautiful, everything looks great. But we all know, like, images and everything, and we've learned that a lot, right? So I know I was thinking like the whole with COVID thing, with the pandemic, and how all the celebrities came out and they treated us like shit with their beautiful imagine how there's no heaven and all these songs, while they lived in multi-million-dollar homes. And we weren't allowed to go out and so on. We had to, we could only go out and for certain days, and that's it, and we'd be locked down. And they were happy with us being locked down because they lived in mansion homes where they had all the supplies being delivered to them. Yet we were struggling wage packet to wage packet. So, and I suppose these folks were like that, right? Living in their mansion. So I blame, like right from the start, I blame the Christians or whoever they were, right? The group that were looking after these special needs kids. Because I know of one autistic person who was sexually assaulted by his teacher, right? At school. And that's why I say kids will be, they'll be harmed for years, right? Having to go to therapy because all these images of the 2,000 plus images, right? Whatever, of these kids are out there with all those other monsters. Just like with like terrorists, I reckon there should be no sort of leniency on pedos. It should be scorched earth. All right, just boom, wood chipper material. I don't know why these fuckers are allowed to go to jail. They should be beheaded. They should be electrocuted. They should be tortured, given the thing and out of this world, because they shouldn't be allowed to exist. Why should they be allowed to exist as the people while these kids deal with this, knowing that these two are going to be in jail, living and breathing the same air that these kids have to deal with and breathe the same air that they do? These monsters shouldn't be allowed to freaking exist anymore for what they've done. They took two innocent special needs kids, right, under the facade that they were caring human beings, raped them, made videos of them raping them, shared them with all the pedos in their circle, and hopefully the FBI can knock down all those doors and also arrest all those pedos and get them to the wood chipper. Because they shouldn't be allowed to breathe the same air as everybody else, as normal humans, right? And I think that's the thing. Two things I can think of where people, two types of people that shouldn't be allowed to breathe air, right? Pedos and terrorists. Scorched earth with those fuckers. Those two things. You know, off with the head. Like was it King Henry VIII? Off with the head. Yeah. Oh no, it was Mary Queen of Scots, right? I think it was Mary Queen of Scots who said off with their heads. Let me see. Who said off with it? Who said off with their heads? I'm sure I think it's Mary Queen of Scots, because she used to like beheading a lot of people. Anyone that pissed her off. Yes, Queen of Hearts. No, oh no, sorry, my bad. Yeah, no, I was right. Right, the phrase is "off with their heads" is most famously associated with the Queen of Hearts and Alice's adventures. One in 1968 by Lewis Carroll. She's frequently shouts as a demand for executions, though the story very few, if any, are actually carried out. Though in the story, actually. However, a real historical figure often linked to this phrase is Queen Mary I of England, Bloody Mary, because who ordered many executions during her reign from 1553 to 1558 for 5 years. Though there's no direct record of her using these exact words, but attributed to her, right? So for 5 years, she killed a lot of people. Sometimes I wish we kind of had that sort of rule, so that like people like these bastards, and the other two we're going to look at, the two lesbians later, they should also have their heads chopped off, execution. Because I don't think at that there's a point where you go, well, yeah, no, you shouldn't be allowed to breathe.
Instead, they were used to record the sexual abuse that was taking place all over the home. Investigators say both parents repeatedly raped these boys and recorded it with video or photos. But that wasn't all. They also admitted to all of these crimes in texts and social media messages. Investigators say the men would brag to their friends, saying they planned to have sex with their sons, and then they would follow up after they carried out this really disturbing act. Both men eventually admitted to this, saying to investigators that they sodomized the boys and forced them to perform oral sex on both parents. Here's how the charges broke down. William Zulock was charged with 6 counts of aggravated sodomy, 3 counts of aggravated child molestation, 2 counts of sexual exploitation of children, and a couple other sexual offenses. Zachary Zulocks was charged with 2 counts of aggravated sodomy, 3 counts of aggravated child molestation, 2 counts of sodomy, 3 counts of sexual exploitation of children, 2 counts of pandering.
What the fuck's this shit? Is this part of the video? Seriously, you guys are talking about pedophiles and child abuse and rape and child porn and pedos, and you guys are gonna put a little friggin' advertising on here? So this is why I say these two people should like be gassed or beheaded publicly as a warning to anybody else who wants to do this sort of shit.
for a person under 18 and other sexual offenses. Now, William pleaded guilty to all these charges back in August, and Zachary pleaded guilty to all but one charge. That didn't work out for him, though, because he took it to a bench trial and was found guilty there. Just this month, both men were sentenced to 100 years in prison without the possibility of parole, meaning they'll spend the rest of their lives behind bars. This case is truly one of the most disturbing I've covered in my career. I'm still trying to make sense of it all. Let's bring in trial attorney Krista Ramey to help us out too. Krista, have you ever seen a case like this before?
You know, it's like no. Well, first of all, no. And it's almost as if these men adopted these children for this explicit purpose.
Yeah.
To exploit these children.
How come there was no background checks on them? I know that there's always background checks on straight couples. Was there any background checks done? Right? Because you're taking special needs kids on top of just normal kids, right? So these are extra needful kids, right? It's already hard just adopting normal kids. Now you got kids that rely on you because they have special needs. And I've mentioned that I used to look after, autistic baby when I was, 20 years ago. Yeah, 2000s. And it was tough. A 3-year-old, looking after a 3-year-old, it was tough. You had to be like this on the go. Honestly, like it was only for an hour and a half, 2 hours. But I had to be on it every second, right? I was like, my eyes had to be on them because it was just going crazy. And like, of course, these kids were a bit older, right? But, and I've also, I've one of my work partners, right? He was, he was autistic, so he wouldn't look you in your eye. He was like, he couldn't look you in the eye. So he would, very knowledgeable, very, very onto it, but would never look on your eye. So, but these guys were allowed to have them. These guys basically hunted these kids, basically to abuse. Where was the checks and all that, checks and balances in place that this wouldn't happen? Sad thing is, sometimes the whole climate that we live in actually allows for this to happen more often than necessary. Than not, I should say, not necessary. Because the left movement to push, yes, gay people should have, be allowed to have the same rights as, and I'm for that. However, checks and balances, right?
And so it turns my stomach. It's terribly disturbing.
The details of the case are very disturbing, upsetting, as you said. But let's start way at the beginning, the adoption. What you said, I think, kind of sounds true, the fact that they adopted these kids with the intent to abuse them. But it does get me thinking, we have a huge need for adoption in our country. How can
this is what I always laugh at. It's like a uniform. I don't like activists, to be honest. I don't like gay activists. And because they're like they've become the face of the LGBT, right? And LGBT, right? Or as queer, right? But they're the ones who are the forceful, aggressive, that are seen, right? That are always aggressive. Whereas the normal people, right? The normal gays, or normal lesbians, trans, queer people, folks, right? We just want to get on with life. Nobody wants look at me, except these people want to because they hide some shit. And that's why I always whenever I see people like that, I kind of these are the ones I should stay away from. Because I just kind of think they're trying too hard. Why are you trying too hard, bro? Maybe because they're hiding something. And 9 out of 10, this normally comes out to be, yeah, they are.
make sure that these adoptive parents aren't going to, I know this is an extreme, obviously, but make sure that they're going to treat the kids right.
In every state, including Georgia, there are so many safeguards that are put into place before a parent can legally adopt a child. There are home visits, there are background checks, there are references required, there's drug screening. The children have to be at least 10 years younger than the adoptive parents in Georgia, specifically. They have all of these systems in place to help screen out this, but you can't screen out for everything. And so I think that here, you know,
I think they basically took their hands off because they were gay. That's what I think. They think, well, you know, these guys are so, you know, they're so in love with kids. Yeah, well, you know, but it was all facade, right?
Things just got missed, but it's troubling to me that they got missed because this couple clearly has some sort of fetish and that was discussed among their friends.
Wait. Why are you saying fetish? They were animals on the prowl, on the hunt. They were hunters hunting for little children to fuck. And they did. And that they shared all that.
Circles, apparently, of being attracted to young boys. And so I think
this is what I hate the terminology these fuckers use. And I know they got to do it nicely and stuff. But this is where we come to now. We can't say exactly what it is. Right? These are monsters who are hunting kids to abuse and attack and assault and rape because they got pleasure from that. It wasn't a fetish. It wasn't a kink. These were monsters who viewed children as prey to abuse. Just call it what the fuck it is.
That there should have been some red flags in the background check that got missed in this case that should have probably been caught.
You mentioned the discussions with their friends, and that was something that just turned my stomach completely. There was at least
none of their friends, right, basically said anything about it.
One message with their friends, and one of the dads said something like, "I'm going to have sex with my son, stand by." That right there, black and white, you're admitting to what's going on. You said, son, that's incest. He's obviously under 18 years old. So that's
wait.
basically
No,
a
it's not.
confession written
Wait.
right
Hold
there.
the fuck up. They're not related with blood. This is not their children. They're adoptive parents. The fact that she says incest, it's got nothing to do with that, right? This is why I think these people get it all muddled up in their law talk. They're not their children. They're not related by blood. You can't say it's incest when it's not related by blood. They're adoptive parents. They're stepchildren. They're not even stepchildren because at least one of the parents has their blood, right? They're adopted children. They're not their kids. They're not their parents. They're adopted parents. I guess they're parents in the sense of like they're guardians. They're probably better ideas that they're guardians, right? It's not incest, right? Because they're not related by blood. I just, this is where the fucking world is at now, right? With this. And I could be absolutely wrong on this, right? But from my POV, right? Like my point of view, this is why it's all messy. Because everybody is too cushiony, you know, like walking around eggshells on what they can say and what they can't say. Saying that like these bastards having, you know, assaulting and raping their children was incest is wrong because it wasn't.
Why would this person write that out to their friends and then investigators can now use it against them?
Because they truly have a diagnosable mental illness. They have pedophilia.
diagnosable mental illness. This is why so many people get away with this shit. Imagine classifying everything to mental illness. Oh, he smokes. Oh, that's mental illness. He's, he gets fat because mental illness. Oh, he beats up people. That's mental illness. He beats up his wife. Oh, that's mental illness. He rapes people. That's mental illness. Like I keep saying, but these we've come to a point in society where we change the meaning of words. We change what is, right? Like we can't even fucking say a woman's a woman anymore because people go, well, you can be a man and be a woman. So you gotta say, well, a pedo is like a mentally ill person, or he desires little boys, little girls. Oh, it's because of mental illness. Get the fuck out of here, disgusting people talk like that. Fucking piss me off, man. Normally I like to go at this all fresh. I like only certain times I'll watch the videos up beforehand, but because I want, I'm the type where I don't like to, even when I interview people, I don't like to know their backgrounds too much. I want to learn it as I'm learning, when we're doing the interviews, I'm learning it at the same time the viewer's learning it. And there's the same thing with that. Like I'm like, I know I knew what it was about, but I hate it when people like nowadays twist the meaning of words, right? Equate everything fucking mental illness. It's like you want to punch people in the face when they say that. Like, do you I mean, can you imagine someone like and has said that somebody did that to them, and then some bird brain like her comes up and goes, oh, it's because of the mental illness that did this. And I'll be like, either get out of my house right now, or I'm going to hit smash you with a bat or something. It's like, talk like that around me or about my family. I know. All right. We had the males. Now we've got the females. Got to keep the balance, right?
Don't casually say dark stuff like that.
Some dark stuff.
Present your research, please.
All right. Let's go.
And we begin at 6 o'clock with the arrest of 2 women for child abuse and neglect. The victim is a 5-year-old boy.
Detectives say the boy's mother and stepmother physically abused him for the past several months. They say his trauma is so severe, he's had 2 strokes since being hospitalized a month ago. News on 6 crime reporter Lori Fulbright has the exclusive here at 6.
Muskogee police say what happened inside this house was not just the abuse of a 5-year-old boy, but was torture. They say they were shocked when they saw the medical reports on all the boy's injuries.
The boy's mother, Rachel Stevens, and his stepmother, Kayla Jones, didn't act surprised when they left court and were greeted by a host of officers and deputies with arrest warrants. The women didn't say anything as they were cuffed in the courthouse lobby and taken to the jail for booking. Sources tell me the 2 women have been together for about 18 months. Investigators learned of this case last month when the victim was taken to a Tulsa hospital because he was having seizures and had terrible lesions on his face. He was immediately flown to Oklahoma City. An affidavit says doctors there discovered many broken bones in several stages of healing and that the boy was malnourished. It says the boy told them he had been tied up, duct taped, locked in a room, and that both women had hit him all over with a belt. He said his mother hit his hand with a hammer and his stepmom had kicked him in the groin so hard he bled. However, the women created a GoFundMe page claiming he was picking at his own face and was having seizures because he fell down, and they were asking for donations. They wrote they never left his side, and because the hospital had no beds for them, they were sleeping in their car. Police say their investigation shows the boy did not cause his own injuries, but the people who were supposed to love and protect him did.
Anytime that you have child abuse or sexual abuse of a minor child, it's always difficult because you're dealing with such an innocent victim.
A family member sent us these pictures of toys and clothing people are dropping off at her house to give to the victim and his brother. Police tell us the boy's father is out of the picture. They also have a 7-year-old sister who is staying with other family. The victim is still in the hospital. Police tell me he has a twin identical brother. Police don't believe that little boy has been abused, so he right now is staying with relatives. In Muskogee, Lori Fulbright, News on.
That one. I think this. Wait, did I get the same one?
And we're beginning at 6 o'clock with the arrest.
Apologies, I got the same one. Here we go. It's a bit loud. Doing a bit.
A lesbian couple have been found guilty of brutally abusing a 5-year-old child. The women were sentenced to 20 years behind bars after they beat the child with a hammer and kicked him in the groin, leading the boy to suffer 2 strokes. Rachel Stevens, 29, and her partner Kayla Jones, 26, pleaded no contest to child abuse and child neglect charges. Alarms were first raised about the child's safety in 2015 after the then 5-year-old was flown to a medical center in Tulsa, Oklahoma, suffering from seizures. Doctors urgently contacted police when they discovered several broken bones at various stages of healing. They also concluded the child had been malnourished. When investigators spoke to the boy, he revealed a horrifying life of abuse and neglect. He had been tied up, had his eyes duct taped closed, and kept in a locked room by the 2 women, according to court documents.
This is a
He
longer
was also
version.
struck with a hammer and whipped with a belt by both his mother and her girlfriend. However, the women denied being responsible for the abuse, even setting up a GoFundMe page to ask for help, claiming the son was harming himself. The victim's twin brother also lived in the house, but he is not believed to have been a victim of the women and is now living with relatives. Muskogee County District Attorney Orville Loge said the plea agreement includes a stipulation that neither woman can contact the child while serving their 20-year sentence. It was a conclusion that was carefully discussed with the family, the district attorney said. The nature of the injuries were very severe, but the child is doing very well now in a loving home. He is a completely different child now than when this case first came in. He received the most wonderful care and is in a great home right now, and I feel confident that he is going to be okay.
Kind of like you got like monsters, like that exist in this world. Let me get to okay, so this is actually, let's go there. Let's get to the main. So the kid was 5 years old. Okay, we got through that. Let's see if there's anything new on this. The GoFundMe. Yeah, there wasn't much on this, which is so I had to. It was the same. Yeah, they were doing the same report, and that was like it was kept to like what, like a 2-minute thing. All of that was it. There wasn't like in depth. So there's any more. That's why I didn't like do as a main title, include it as a main title, but I just. The crazy thing here is like both the twins were in the family, right? Like both of them were there, yet they picked this kid to be the one to abuse. It's just, and I mean, what would drive someone to treat someone like that, right? You could really think about, like, you know, it's not like they lacked anything, you know, because people will go, oh, it's mental illness. Well, and this is why I think it's like, well, it's just fucking horrible people, right? You can't always blame everything on mental illness because some people are just evil. And they just see someone weak and they want to harm them. It's like domestic violence, right? Like where women and men, where they, or you know, if the male or the female partner doesn't stand up for themselves, they get battered, right? And same with kids and abuse. You know, doesn't matter, teenagers, whatever, in homes where, you know, they live in, you know, in fear of the parent, whether it's a mother or father. Like, you know, I've had enough about mothers being just as horrible as the father, right? Just as abusive. And but yeah, it's, I don't know, monsters dime a dozen, you know, and it's crazy. Now the last before we finish up, like, you know, like I say, I don't like to leave us on a downer. even while you know, trying to be straight up about what we put on. But I thought it was pretty cool. Let's finish off with this. I think this is a good one to finish off on, and then we'll finish off all together. Oh, I almost tried to lock myself out of the screen. I also, this is, it's sort of let me see. This is, I just thought it was funny, and I also thought it was good, and it just shows, you know, how cool this is, right? Now, say you're a small business, right? And suddenly, you know, what you create is gifted to some world leader, you know, and now because that world leader's got one, now everybody wants one, and that just out of nowhere, your business just blows up. I'd love like that something to happen to me, right? Because that would be cool. Like somebody just picks up my comic and goes, "This is great," and somebody famous, right? And the next thing you know, like everybody's going, "I want to read it as well." That's usually how, you know, things really pop off in life. Normally, nothing like that happens 99%, 99.9%, right, of the time. But this was pretty cool. I thought this was really good for this this gentleman out in Japan. And yeah.
This traditional kabuto helmet is decorated with gold ornaments. The helmet, from Tottori Prefecture, was given to U.S. President Donald Trump by Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru as a souvenir during their summit talks this month. It was chosen as President Trump is known to like the color gold. Priced at 168,000 yen, or $1,083.87, it has already...
See, here's the thing. It's only 1,600 New Zealand, so like 1,000 US. So it's not like this out of your reach thing, right? Like 50,000, 60,000. It's not like he gave them a freaking gold, helmet, all right? Samurai helmet, all right? It's just an ornamental thing with, with gold trimmings on it, right? As you can see. So, which is why I actually thought it was really cool, because I was like, oh, this is going to be quite expensive. Now it's like, wait, it's only $1,000 US.
Or $1,083.87, it has already sold out due to a flood of inquiries and orders since the end of the summit meeting.
鳥取が盛り上がるようにうまく発信できたらな。
The company is now accepting reservations for the next production run of the helmets, but it will be about 2 years before customers will receive it. The next batch is expected to be available after January 2027.
That's master craftsmanship, right? We talk about, like on the other channel, we talk about crafts and creative and originality and stuff. And so you got this Totori, right? Like you got this small company basically blowing up and being like, everybody's like, I want one now, because they might want it for themselves, or they might just want to give one to a gift as well. But it's so good to see something like that come out of, just a gift. And I think that's a cool, positive way to end this stream today, even though we covered a lot of horrible things. And we do cover a lot of horrible things on this channel. That's why I have another channel called Plunge Comics, right? Where we talk about artists, we talk about movies, we talk about comics, we talk about music. Well, I think I talk about music on this one, but we talk about music related to, comics and entertainment, the creative stuff. So do check that out. It's there on my thing. It's at Plunge Comics. It's I have a co-host there who's Argentinian, but is over in France, and he's a manga artist. So it's pretty cool. And we kind of like, co-host the show. He hosts the show with me. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. I appreciate it, and I really appreciate you guys coming and check out my channel. If you if you liked it, please share, give us a thumbs up, subscribe. Really could use a few hundred more subscribers. It'll be awesome if you guys come and check out the next stream. The links are on the, for the next one is there. I usually change it depending on how healthy and well I feel on that time or day. But hopefully we'll see you tomorrow, because we're going to cover some music. And thank you for hanging out. Ka kite ano. Have an amazing week, day, night, evening, wherever you are. Bye for now.
Nope. Can't stay here anymore. I gotta get back. I think this was the spot. Oh Lord, I beseech thee, please return me to my old life. I swear I'll do anything. Like, literally anything. And I won't bother you again, so pretty please bring me back to life.